video, I'm going to go over the spot healing brush and the healing brush in Photoshop. So first thing, we need a photo open, obviously. And the spot healing brush and the healing brush are good for skin corrections. You can also use them for things in the background, distractions and things like that. But they work a little bit better for skin and areas like that than the clone stamp tool. So that's why I like to use it for those things. First thing, in the layers window, I would definitely do this on a background copy so that you're not doing it on your original in case you make mistakes and don't like it. So if you do Command J on your keyboard, and then this layer one, we can double click and rename it Healing Brush. Okay, Healing Brush and Spot Healing Brush are almost the same with a slight difference that I'll go over. The keyboard shortcut for both of them is J. And then your screen may be set up like this, your tools window, where they're separated. This is the spot healing and this is the healing brush. But if you click and hold, if you click and hold the one that highlights, you'll see a menu that may pop up. Similar to like this, you'll see a menu pop up. But it just depends on the version you have, whether they're split like this and this, or one is underneath the other tool. So we'll start with Spot Healing Brush. In this one, the program automatically selects what it's covering up with. In the other one, we'll go over you select yourself, kind of like a clone stamp. So at the top, we always want to set our options. We want to set a size. So let's say I'm trying to get this line softer. That's a good size. Hardness you have to play with. So probably pretty low, because you don't want to see the outer edge of the brush, but you can play with it, put it about halfway or lower, and then see if that looks good. And then spacing, you have to ask yourself, basically it's like a makeup brush or a paint brush. Do you want complete coverage? Then you want zero spacing. Okay, if you want some coverage where it's more sparse, which sometimes looks more natural, then you would want to add spacing. We're going to keep our angle at 0 and our roundness at 100, so leave those alone. Then mode should say normal. You have some choices. So do you want your type of healing brush to be content aware, aware of what's around it? Do you want to create a texture, or do you want to do a proximity match? For skin, generally proximity match or content aware work better. You can try one of the three options, and again, if it doesn't look good, then you can go ahead and try a different option. And then you have to decide, do you want to sample all layers? I just want to work off this layer, so I'm not going to check that. Diffusion, you can bring it up or down to make it stronger or weaker. So again, just try it, and then you can see based on the results if you need to change that setting. And that's only under the proximity match option. You can see in content aware and create texture, you don't have those options. So I'll just start with content aware. Okay, so once I choose that and I'm on my spot healing, I can either click or I can draw. And I'll zoom in a little bit more so we can see better. And that did kind of a good blending, but I could probably get a little bit better. So now I'm going to try proximity match. And I'll try some areas up here. And I would just tell you, when you're doing this, when you're healing skin especially, people have pores. So you shouldn't be getting rid of your pores completely. You just want to get rid of things that might be distractions, things that are not permanent, blemishes and stuff like that. If somebody has a mole and it's part of their character, I wouldn't get rid of that. You can also use this for little hairs on the face. Sometimes it works well. All right, so that is the spot healing brush, and we can zoom out and I can turn it off and on so you can see the before and after. Now there are times where you use the spot healing brush and it doesn't work that well. In that case, what you can do is you can do the healing brush. Again, you still have to set your settings at the top. Brush is the same, similar settings, but just make sure you choose them. Mode would be normal. And then source, you want to set it to sampled, which I'll show you what that means in a second. You also have to choose whether you're working on the current layer or current layer and below or all layers. And then lastly, you also have to set your diffusion. Okay, so this one is like the clone stamp in that you have to use your option key and click to select an area. So for example, if I'm trying to like get rid of most of this redness in this patch, I can select this area which is smoother and less red. So option click with my mouse. Then I can go back over this area and blend it on. Now you can see I did a little bit too much of a selection, so I'll do a little bit at a time. Every time you see that symbol, I'm reselecting. Okay, and then I'll turn it off and on so you can see it again. So that just smoothed that area out a little bit more. So again, that's the spot healing and the healing brush tools in Photoshop. It's good for skin. You can also use it for little hairs, just little errors like that, similar to the clone stamp, but sometimes it's better for certain areas than the clone stamp.